This Saturday, or actually tomorrow, the Yeezy 700s are making their third release. So in today's video, we are going to be discussing some tips for copying the Yeezy 700. Now specifically in today's video, it's going to be a little different than how we do these tips for copying videos. Normally these videos are reserved for a first come first served store list and some raffles, but in today's video, it's going to be a little bit different, and let me tell you why. First of all, it's because a lot of the raffles and a lot of the first come first served store lists were charging a lot more than $300, and I really don't think you guys should be paying that. Second of all, you really don't have to, because we're going to be going over tips for copying on adidas.com and on Yeezy Supply. The main things we'll be focusing on are some errors and also some frequently asked questions that you guys seem to always ask in the streams. And at the very end, I am going to give you guys some updated resale predictions. Now, before I jump into any of this, I'm assuming if you're watching this video right now, you already know what the multiple people jig is. You already know how to set up multiple Chrome users and how to get Yeezys. That should already be on lockdown. Feel free to check out this video right here where I go really in depth into it. So now, if you still happen to be here, obviously you know how to do that because you should by now. To start it off, we're going to be going over some errors that you will be experiencing whether you use this or whether you don't use it. So let's start off with the errors for adidas.com. So around 10 a.m. Eastern time, stock will go live just a little after the splash page goes live. So don't expect everything to go smoothly, guys. Don't expect it to be like a walk in the park, because it's most likely not going to be. Ironically, it was the last Yeezy 700 release on adidas.com that was terrible. It was chaotic. It was a nightmare. There were errors everywhere. Everyone was getting so many errors. It was just terrible. Basically, right now, we're going to be going over every single error that you will be experiencing or most likely experiencing and how to get out of it or how to avoid it. Alright, error number 1. A security error has been identified. We were unable to give you access to our site at this time. Now, this is definitely the worst error to get, not because it's hard to get out of or because it's really anything bad. It's mostly just because it's very tedious. But it's okay. I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to get out of this thing. Alright, so step 1, you're going to want to click on history, and you should already be on Google Chrome because you're going to be using multiple Chrome users. You guys get the picture. Anyway, step 2, you want to click on show full history. Step 3, click clear browsing data. Step 4, select cookies and other site data. And then the other 2 boxes, you can feel free to check off if it's a placebo to you, you know, maybe just for good luck or whatever. It's really not necessary, but it of course doesn't hurt to select them. Then you want to set the time range to 24 hours if it already isn't set for that. Then step 5, you want to go back to adidas.com after Xing out your history and refreshing the page. Now you just simply give it 1 to 2 minutes to load. You might see a white screen for a few seconds or so, but then it will eventually go back to the splash page. It's as simple as that. Of course, it's very tedious because you're probably going to have to do this a couple of times. Alright, moving on. The next error that we're going to be talking about is there has been an error processing your request. Please give us a moment while we work to resolve the issue. This one's not so bad, guys. It's rather simple and it's rather quick to fix. All you have to do is copy and paste the link for the splash page, not the page with the error, because they probably are going to be different, and you just copy and paste it into another tab on that same Chrome user, even though you took the link from another Chrome user. Then you want to X out the old tab before hitting enter on the new tab. Anyway, then the screen will be just all whited out, and maybe you'll see a loading sign or something for approximately 1 to 2 minutes. After that, it will go back to normal and you'll be completely fine. It's as simple as that, guys. It takes about 20 seconds to do. Now, getting to the worst part. This is the part where there's not much you can really do. This, of course, is the adding to cart error and also the CAPTCHA loop. Regarding the CAPTCHA, one thing to prevent this is just simply taking it slow and steady. This isn't actually when you get the loop, but you might think it's a loop just because you have to do a ton of CAPTCHAs. If you get one wrong, you tend to have to do a lot more than before, but that's not actually when it's a loop. That's just if it's taking really long. So before you confirm that it's a loop, just keep on doing the CAPTCHAs as much as possible. Now, if you can't add to cart and if the loop is going on forever, if you're stuck there, chances are that that size is out of stock, and it went out of stock right as you got into the size selection page and the page hasn't updated yet. This often happens when one of your Chrome users has gotten into the size selection page and you perhaps didn't notice it for another 2 to 3 minutes. Then you finally went to select a size, tried to add it to your cart. Meanwhile, that size was probably sold out or temporarily sold out. The best thing to do, honestly, guys, and I hate to say this, if you cannot add to cart in any size up there, I would simply just refresh the page, get back onto the splash page, clear your cookies and data like I mentioned before, and you should have another equal chance of getting in. Also, that reminds me, guys, if you happen to take a W on any of your Chrome users, just to use that Chrome user again if you're going for multiple pairs, clear cookies and data before getting back onto the splash page. Now, getting to the worst of the worst. This is the processing payment loop. When you've made it this far to the very end and you just got to click one button and then you can't even do that, it's really painful, and unfortunately, there's really no way out of it. There is one way to prevent this, of course, and that's simply to make sure that your name on the card is correct. I know sometimes a lot of you guys might have to borrow a credit card from, say, your parents or maybe your wife or whoever it is, and what will happen is it will put your name from your address onto the name on the credit card, and a lot of people don't even see that it's already up there and they just go right to the numbers. You have to make sure it's the correct name on the card. Another time is when you try to use the same payment method more than once. Now, I have actually been able to use the same payment method more than once in the past, but for the most part, I really haven't been able to at all. So just to be safe, I always use different payment methods until I finally run out of them. So yeah, just make sure you're using a different payment method each time. Make sure the name on the card is correct. But other than that, it usually just happens when the product goes out of stock while you're checking out, or just temporarily out of stock while you're checking out. And it's really just unfortunate because you made it that far all for nothing. I've tried everything, guys, believe me. I've tried signing into another account and then signing into that account on another browser. I've tried signing in on mobile. None of it really works, or at least consistently it hasn't worked for me. So there's no way out of it. It's just, these are some things to simply prevent it. But for the most part, it is just because it goes out of stock temporarily while you're checking out. Anyway, this is going to transition me into the frequently asked questions part of the video. I think the primary question I always get asked is, how do you get multiple pairs? What do you got to do with your information at all? So here's the thing. You could keep the address exactly the same. You don't have to change it up at all. I've had multiple pairs of Yeezys shipped to the same address with no problems. But what you do have to change is the email address, or you can add a +1 or a +2 right before the @gmail.com. That does work in this case. And then you also have to put in a random phone number. There's no verification through this, so you just put in whatever random numbers you want. I usually just change up the last few digits of my phone number. And last but not least, you need a different payment method like I was talking about before. The next question that tends to be asked a lot is, how do I view all of my Chrome users at once? Because you might see when I'm live streaming this, and yes, I am going to be live streaming this drop. If you are wondering, feel free to turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on it. But when I'm live streaming, you'll see that I have all my Chrome users right up there, right in front of me, and it's not all messy like you might see if you don't do this. All you gotta do on Mac is hit the F3 button at the top of the keyboard, and on Windows computers, you just have to hit the Windows button, and while holding that, then hit Tab. This will give you this beautiful view that just makes it very simplified and easy to see everything. Another frequently asked question is, do I have to sign into adidas.com? No, absolutely not. In fact, you should not be signing in, but I understand that with the new Adidas app, they're doing a reward system. So say for one purchase, you want to be signed into your account. All you got to do is use that email address when you're checking out. You don't even have to sign in. Next question that may be asked a lot is, how long do you have to check out? Well, if you guys remember, you used to have 10 minutes to check out. Unfortunately, this isn't the case anymore, but you still definitely have a ton of time to check out, simply because it is a splash page and there is going to be stock for hours. But what I always like to do is just check out as fast as possible, just to be safe. I'm not recommending that you set up autofill on every single Chrome user, because admittedly, that is very, very tedious, and I would not want to spend my day doing that. But, you know, just check out as fast as possible. I'm sure you guys are good at typing, so just type as fast as possible. Alright, so now moving on to Yeezy supply. Not much to talk about here, but there's a few things that are worth mentioning. First of all, the only error that you will encounter is if you use too many devices on the same IP address. If you are waiting in line after trying to buy the shoe in, say, 3 or 4 devices on the same IP address, you will get this error that you are seeing on the screen right now. And what's really scary about this is it blocks your entire IP address. If you want to get back in line on Yeezy supply, you'll have to either use a VPN or a mobile device using data. So what I usually do is just use 2 computers and the rest mobile devices on long-term evolution, and then the other computers on VPNs. It's as simple as that. Now, for ordering multiple pairs on Yeezy supply, you used to not be able to use the same address, but now you can use the same address. The only thing is that you still need to use different payment methods, just like on Adidas, and they're definitely more strict when it comes to here. Now, one thing I wanted to mention for Yeezy supply, this is something that we haven't talked about for 7 months or 8 months, other than in live streams, just because it's so inconsistent. But during the streams, A lot of you guys were asking for it. You guys were saying like you want to try it and give it a shot just in case on a second computer or so. Basically, the Bypass Jig, we talked about this a very long time ago, and it's very simple to do, but like I just mentioned, it's very inconsistent. Anyway, though, I'm just going to walk you through it. All you got to do is add in any random item on Yeezy Supply, add it to your cart, fill in your address information, go to checkout, and when you get to the payment page, please do not order, do not confirm order or process payment, whatever it is. Do not click anything. All you got to do is make sure you bookmark that page and then remove that item from your cart. Please don't forget to remove it, and please don't click process payment. Otherwise, there's no returns on Yeezy Supply, guys. Anyway, once you're waiting in line, all you got to do is click that bookmark and it will take you straight to the checkout. Or as of recently, what it occasionally does is just send you back to the product page and you're out of line, you've lost your place. For this reason, I want you guys to play it very conservative when it comes to this. Like I mentioned, I think you could have 2 computers per IP address. So what I want you to do with one computer is just get in as fast as possible, get in line, wait in line normally. But on the second computer, since you're going to be later in line anyway, feel free to try the Bypass Jig on that device. So if you get kicked back, you still got the first device and nothing really happens to that. Because this has worked for me many times, but again, it has sent me back to the product page many times, and I just want you guys to be safe. And another thing I wanted to mention for Yeezy Supply, as of recently, instead of randomized drops, they have been dropping at 9 a.m. Eastern time on the dot. But as of now, 9 a.m. Eastern time on the dot is not up there. So we may see a random drop. We may have to stay up for a while, but I'm expecting them to put 9 a.m. Eastern time up there very soon. I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter, of course, for this. My Twitter is KeithAdam10. And of course, I will be live streaming this, so turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on that. And finally, the last thing I wanted to mention for Yeezy Supply, do they charge tax like they do on Adidas? Because it is a $300 shoe, keep in mind. No, they do not charge tax, luckily, but they do charge $20 for shipping. And yes, Yeezy Supply shipping is terrible. I don't know what goes on over there, but they always take a very long time to ship to me. Oh, and one more thing for Yeezy Supply, and really anything in general. In fact, this is how I copped the box logos on Thursday. Please, guys, make sure you set up autofill on Chrome if you haven't already. It is a lifesaver. You don't have to download anything. Just go into your settings and set it up in advanced settings. Find autofill, fill in your address and your payment information. It's honestly a lifesaver, guys. It saves you a ton of time. But anyway, now let's move on to the updated resale prediction. So I am holding that these still are going to be profitable. I would aim to get these sizes: 4, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, 12.5, and 14. These are going to be the best sizes to resell. And also the pre-sale that you're looking at right now, don't expect these prices to hold. After a week in from the release, expect that the prices are definitely going to take a heavy dip once all the pairs are in circulation. But also keep in mind that this is an OG colorway, so there is a chance that in a couple of months to years from now, if Kanye doesn't decide to restock these or re-release these again, these could definitely hit some pretty high numbers. But anyway, with that, I'm going to conclude today's video. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed or if you perhaps learned a thing or two. Feel free to subscribe and turn on post notifications if you're new. Live stream on Saturday. Don't miss it. I look forward to copying with all you guys. Shouldn't be a difficult cop at all. So good luck and have a fantastic rest of your day.
Yeah! Now I can't run and I can't walk. You hit me so hard, I don't want to talk. Get your foot off my foot. Ah!
Get your foot off my foot. Yeah!
Why are you always in my way, knocking me over every single day? Get your foot off my foot, ah!
Get your foot off my foot, yeah!
I should have run the other way. Now there's just one thing to say.